In February, after a quick jaunt to Disneyland with my family for a family vacation, me and my new internet friend Sam Elkins decided to collab on a few YouTube videos. I was really excited at the opportunity because I've been following Sam and his work for a while now, and I really wanted to get his insight on Instagram, especially since he has almost 750,000 followers on the platform. So I wanted to ask him how he got there, how he continues to interact with the platform, and just his general thoughts about it. So anyway, here's our very real conversation about Instagram. Enjoy. No, I haven't right now decided what I want to title this video, but it's probably, like clickbaity or whatever about Instagram. And the truth is, we're going to talk about things that have helped us grow an Instagram account. But just to preface this, I don't want you to think that that's the end goal, that we're just trying to get you to grow a number on Instagram. Just kind of sharing our heart behind our work more than that before. Just let you know that before we kind of dive into things that have helped us grow that following and what that means to us. Hello friends, I'm here with my buddy Sam Elkins today. We did a video on his channel this morning, shooting over in Venice, and go check out his channel if you want to see that. But today we are going to be talking about how to grow an Instagram account, how to grow a following, and what that looks like. I started off, I think 6 years ago on Instagram and shot primarily wedding photography, and got a couple thousand followers, as most wedding photographers do, just kind of being in the industry, getting connected to other people, and hashtags or whatever the kids say. I didn't really experience any kind of growth in the following on my Instagram until I started making videos on YouTube. And honestly, one of the other huge things was just getting more creative with my portraiture, whether it was using a tilt shift lens or making double exposures or doing silhouettes, shooting at night. Different things that wedding photographers and portrait photographers were doing. Kind of separating myself from the crowd and doing that thing that I always talk about on my channel, like leaning into what makes me different. And I felt like that kind of made people they started getting interested in following me. But I also wanted to talk to Sam because he has 7 million followers or whatever on Instagram, and let you guys know all of his secrets and that kind of thing of how he grew his following on Instagram as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been on Instagram probably for about 8 years now, I would say. And I
started when you were 12?
Yeah, a long time ago. And I think the big thing that I've noticed over the years, I think it's definitely changed a lot, but I think when I first started, it was more of just getting anything out there was enough. But I think now it's much more of refining your look and refining what you shoot and being really niche with it and figuring out what you were saying, leaning into really what makes you different and what you feel like your strengths are, not necessarily what everything is, what's popular right now, but more of what you feel like you can bring to the table in terms of your own creativity and also your own unique vision, because obviously you have something deep down that you really love to shoot and something that you want to share with the world. But you also can, ride the fine line between that and also what everybody else is doing, in my opinion. You can do exactly what you want to be doing, but at the same time, you can also realize that you are in 2020 and there's tons of different photographers out there now, and you have to do what you can to be able to separate yourself from everybody else, And I think for me, throughout this process, I've definitely learned that consistency is pretty much everything. I would say if you're not going to be consistent, it's almost not worth your time. But at the same time, consistency is also a killer. It can really burn you out super easily. So I think you have to define what consistency means to you. And if you can figure out what that actually means, then you're going to have a much better chance of succeeding on any sort of social media platform, or really just with work in general. The more consistent that you can be over time and also define what success means for you on any given platform or any given project or whatever that means, you're gonna have a much better chance of feeling like you actually accomplished something, And I think that's something that I've definitely learned very recently is, I think I cared way too much, like a lot of people, about Instagram for a long time. And now I just try to look at it as a byproduct of what I do, not necessarily everything that I do.
Sure.
And I think that only comes with learning and experimenting and figuring out that actually I want to have other things that add to what I do rather than just a number on an Instagram account, But with all that being said, it's an insanely important tool, and I think it's something that's helped grow my business basically from nothing to what it is now.
You might be wondering how someone like Sam has grown to have a following like he has on Instagram. I assume you were probably in the recommended, 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, suggested user way back when. And I think this is when I was in high school. I had probably 3,000 or 4,000 followers, and then I went to 30 within a couple days. Back then it was a big deal, and I think then from that point till now, the only thing that I can say I did very well was be consistent and also like continue to evolve my style over time, because you want people to be excited about like not only what you're sharing, no matter what it is. You know, like for me, even if I were to post an advertisement, I want people to be excited about that. And they are, like, because I've created that like aura of consistency, and also like people have like enjoyed my work for what it is. I tried to keep myself out of it as much as I could. I think that's what YouTube's for. YouTube for me is much more of like a personal journey, and Instagram for me is just so much more about just sharing my work and getting it out there. I think you can probably relate to that too.
A representation of what you're excited about, what what you want to show in your art form.
Exactly.
I hope that you haven't stopped watching at this point and thought that this was just a pat on the back for either of us, because it's really at the heart of this video. I want to get at the fact that the numbers on your Instagram account don't matter in this industry. If you are loving what you are doing, you're passionate about making art in whatever capacity that is, whether you're shooting weddings or working with brands, making a YouTube channel, that number is something that's superficial. And while that might be something that gets somebody's attention or a brand's attention, yeah, there's something to be said about that, for sure. And if that's your goal, cool, that's your goal. You can go after that and you can try to book brands and get work based on that number. But at the end of the day, that is something that is superficial and isn't something that is sustainable. If that's the thing that you're always chasing, you'll find that it ends in a dead end. You don't really find fulfillment from reaching a new number, because I'm sure, as you know, once you reach a new number, there's always a higher number. There's always somebody else who has more followers, and you quickly burn out from that mentality of trying to grow that just for the sake of growing it.
For sure. I think it could be really detrimental in a lot of ways if you really solely just focus on the numbers, because I think you're always going to be dissatisfied with the amount of people that you are able to reach with any given platform or with your work. But if like, we were literally just talking about it before we started filming this video, like the most important thing is to, for one, enjoy what you do. If you don't enjoy what you do, you're gonna burn out very quickly, you know, and like there's probably something to be said about like both of us have been doing what we do for a decent amount of time now, you know, it's multiple years, and that doesn't just happen because all we thought about was numbers on social media and stuff. You know, like we focus on the tangible things in our businesses that matter.
Right.
And for me, and I think for you as well, it needs to be much more of a byproduct than anything else. It's such a great way to get found, it's such a great way to share your work, and it's such a great way to promote yourself and new things that you're doing, new ventures, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not what you should define yourself as. It shouldn't define you as an artist or as a business. It's really easy to get wrapped up in that because numbers are just out everywhere on the internet now, and they're just shoved down your throat, and you can do this, you can do that, and it's never gonna be enough for anybody, you know? So you need to just remember that no matter what happens, if you are actually excited about the work that you're doing and you feel like you're putting in an honest effort, the chances of you succeeding are pretty high, like honestly. But if you even second guess yourself for a second and one of those two things, like you're probably either not working smart enough or you're not devoting time to things that actually matter. You know, you're not prioritizing the right things in your business.
What's interesting about something like YouTube, where analytics do matter a lot if you're trying to make money on the platform, definitely. Instagram isn't necessarily like that. Just because you are getting more likes or more views or whatever you're posting on Instagram doesn't mean that you are finding economic benefit from doing that. So for me, what Instagram looks like today is a representation of my art, what I care about, what I want to share with anybody who decides to follow me. I was gonna say follow this dorky dad, but honestly at this point, just a way to connect with people. You know, Twitter and Instagram I think is the way we kind of found each other. Obviously YouTube first, but reaching out and DMing on those platforms, something really valuable about that. I love using it as a facilitator to then meet people in person and then collaborate with them or talk about what you're passionate about, growing your art form, and start making a community. Because you know, as I talk about on the channel a lot, is that community is so important to what we do, and building community instead of constantly butting heads and trying to fight over numbers and who's getting more of a following or whatever. I think it makes way more sense to just be able to connect, meet each other at a human level, and then realize that we're all just like stupid dads.
Even me.
Yeah, even if you're 23. Realizing we're all just human, those numbers just at the end of the day don't matter. And whatever it is that you're chasing, I just want to teach and share that that's that end goal of just growing something to grow it, just kind of leads into burnout. And just one more for you guys, because you know I care about you. I love you.
Social media to me has been so much of like a vehicle to do what we were just talking about that as well, to do really whatever you want. I think it's a common misconception that you have to have that following, you have to have those numbers, you have to have that engagement rate, you have to have this, that, and the other to do anything with your business or to start. And the reality is it's much more important about the fundamentals. If you can have great fundamentals with your business, that is so much more important than a social media following. But if the social media following is what you feel like is missing from your business, then maybe start focusing on sharing more of what you already do more, because that's like really just the difference between being consistent with, you know, sharing stuff and not, is you probably already have the stuff that you're doing anyways. If you have a semi-successful business, you know, like it's already probably in front of you. So it's more of just like construing that and like, you know, putting that in a proper place with the proper, you know, wording and language that represents your business in the right way. You know, that's everything.
For sure, man. Proud of you.
Thanks.
Proud of you. I almost said son. I do kind of feel like your dad.
YouTube dad.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 23. Look at this guy. 23, 200 million Instagram followers. One last thing, don't think that we are perfect about anything. I'm still like wildly at times addicted to checking my Instagram and caring about those superficial things. And I just want to put that out in the open. So much so that I have to, as a lot of people do, like delete it off my phone and just kind of run away from that, because it's so easy for us to kind of just get wrapped up in that. I think it's like, as humans, just our go-to is to care about that when it doesn't really matter.
Definitely.
And so that's why I think a video like this is so important, just to remind ourselves not to.
Yeah, well, I think it's so much of it is subconscious. It's not like your conscious, intentional mind.
Yes.
Checking compulsively these social media networks and refreshing, and because you realize like you could do this with your eyes closed, and that proves that it's not intentional. It's not your brain thinking, oh, I want to do this. It's just in front of you and it's glowy, it's shiny. If you're a lot more intentional with your usage, intentional with your sharing, and also intentional with your consumption and, you know, the way that you go about sharing your stuff, because you also want to share with intention as well. You want the people who follow you or subscribe to you to also benefit from the stuff that you're sharing, and the more time and effort that you put into the stuff that you're sharing on the internet, it's going to actually like come full circle and benefit the people that are actually watching it, not making them jealous or sad or depressed because you have such an amazing life, when in reality all of us are like, I sit at this desk more hours than anything else during the day. Like I'm just sitting here working, and you know, it's really easy to look at my life on Instagram and think, wow, it's amazing, you get to go so many cool places, and I do, but I'm really thankful for that. At the same time, it's such a small part of my life. It's just the highlight reel, you know. That's what people think matters, and when they get there, it's not, you know, like take it from someone who got there, and it's not. That's not what matters. What matters is caring about the stuff you're doing, and like being really proud of the stuff you're putting out there, and feeling like it has value and meaning, and you know, the people that are looking at this stuff, they actually feel like they're getting something from it. They feel like there's a reason to come back. It's not a reason to resent or be jealous of the person that they're watching, or you know, whose photo they're double tapping on Instagram. You know, it's a lot more than that. When
you like a video on YouTube, it pushes it to more people. And if you feel like this message needs to be shared with more people, that's a good way to make that happen. Another awesome way to make this happen is if you enjoyed hearing this, or think that a friend needs to hear it or needs to be encouraged by it, please just share it with them. Shoot them a text or send it over MySpace. And make sure you follow this guy on his YouTube channel. He's doing really cool things these days, and testing out a bunch of cameras and just being a really cool dude. No, but seriously, super hard worker. I'm really, really encouraged by you, man. I know it sounds weird when I say I'm proud of you, but it's really cool to see like your heart behind your work.
Thanks, man.
Not that it's just something that's superficial and that you're just chasing after nothing, so.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, dude. I think we're good.
Sweet.
That ended up being a lot more special than I thought it was gonna be. That's cool.
It's really easy stuff to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just kind of rolls off the tongue, honestly.
Well, I think a lot of people are just gonna really resonate with it, which is great. And I think someone, especially like you, with a huge following, is gonna make people go like, whoa, dang.
I actually already have a video cut and edited that's like, not this, but it's like just talking about how to stay consistent, but also like the understanding that like it's life is more than this, you know. Like people, it's so easy to like you know, for people to think that this is like the only thing that matters, because like it's such a big part of our life now, you know.
I know.
It's not fun. It's not like fun for anybody to like feel like they're not enough, you know. And like when in reality, we're all enough.
Right.
You're enough. You're enough.
Just delete Instagram if it's a problem for you. there.
Honestly.
Video over. Delete it.